These are some new additions on top of the roof. We're reconfiguring the gymnasium space. Now it will be classroom space, but it's interior to the building, so we want to be able to get light into those interior spaces. This is the new proposed district administrative offices that are anchoring the building on the west side. The windows, you can see, we've changed a lot of the window openings in the building, again, with the common theme of being able to try and get more light into that space. This area right here, going that way, is the new middle school entrance. And then coming across, this is the proposed new high school entrance over here. Must be a fire drill. Again, that's the Main Street there, so you walk through that and then you're able to go to all of those shared court and community use type spaces. Media Center. Coming over, these are stair towers to get through the 3 levels of the building. This is the distance learning lab, and whoever's on the 3rd floor in those spaces has the benefit of having some very nice views out of that space as well. So that gives you just a little bit of perspective in terms of taking it from just a floor plan, as you can see over here, and actually starting to go and make that into what we hope is a real building. This is another elevation, another view looking at it. This is actually pretty close to from the in front of the Batchelder School. This is the access road that would be coming up that slope and going around the back of the building, again, the academic wing. Another shot that we saw in the flyby, where right here, that's the middle school entrance going into the middle school, proposed high school entrance, Main Street, Media Center. Maybe that's all. Oh, there we go. This is from the rear of the building that I talked about, the entrance. This would be a very significant entrance for going to basketball games or going to theater events. Probably the more used entrance because of where the relationship between the parking and the rest of the building community use. But in terms of formal drop-off, that would occur on the front side of the building. And with that, I will turn it over to Jeremy.
Thanks, Brad. Our next speaker is going to... Just for clarification, the building doesn't really spin around. That's just for the presentation, so we couldn't afford that. Our next speaker is the Vice Chair of the Finance Committee. See why we couldn't afford it. Is the Vice Chair of the Finance Committee, Don Kelleher, and he's got the job of talking to you about the estimated costs of the project and any other financial issues that you may be interested in. Don?
Thank you. As we stated earlier, the project is going to be submitted to the MSBA early in December. At that time, we will look at the cost estimates, what the building is going to look like in terms of construction of the building, and there will be a determination of what the cost is going to be. Right now, we're a little bit ahead of that. We're a couple of weeks ahead of that, so we had to take the estimates that we have that still need some more work and try to be able to give you something, some idea of what the cost is going to be to build the building, what the cost will be to the taxpayers, and how that's going to impact your tax bill, which obviously is important to all of us. The estimated project cost as we sit now is between $105 and $110 million. That's to build the complete project as has been outlined by Brad. We're estimating that the town's share of that is between $55 and $60 million. The MSBA will reimburse us 50% 51.54% of eligible costs. There are certain costs that they don't deem eligible for reimbursement, and they're going to be part of our cost we're paying 100% of. The big items there are the district office space, the water treatment plant. Those are the big pieces that will come out of the total cost to arrive at eligible cost, and then this 51.54% is applied to those eligible costs. We estimate that we'll be getting from the state about $50 million. Big number. This is been a long-term project of dealing with the state, getting on the list, and as people have talked about before, we have to compete for this. There are a number of other school projects going on now. There are a whole bunch of them that are off in the future. We got pretty close to the front of the line in getting our project looked at. So it goes forward, and when the costs are all determined, the state should be paying about $50 million of the cost of the building. So what does it mean to the average homeowner? What we did here is we looked at the average assessed value of the property in the town, a residential property in the town, is about $450,000. And so we looked at what the cost would be, the annual cost would be to a homeowner of a $450,000 home over the bonding period. We'll get into that in a minute. And we range between $700 and $775 per year. And obviously the variance there is we don't know what our total cost is going to be. So if it's $50 million, $55 million rather, be close to $700 per year. And if it's $60 million, it will be close to $775 a year. A way to look at this with respect to your own tax bill, because obviously that's an average. So there are more highly assessed value of properties and lower assessed properties. But if you look at the estimated increase in the tax rate would go up between 11.25% and 12.25% depending upon the cost. So if you looked at your own tax bill and applied those percentages to it, you'd see what the cost would be. The cost, a caveat is that on the total cost per taxpayer is that we've got to send this out through the bonding agency. We've got to determine what the interest rate will be when we draw down the money. What we're using as a guide here is a 5% interest rate. Right now, if we were to bond the whole thing today, it may be 4%, but it's not going to be bonded today. It's going to be bonded further out when the building is more substantially completed, and it may even be bonded in phases. We may do a piece of it and then do another piece. That hasn't been worked out yet. We are looking at the bonding being a 25-year bond, and it would be a level payment bond. Think of your own personal mortgages. You pay the same principal and interest every month for 25 or 30 years of your mortgage. That's how this would probably be structured. The treasurer and the board of selectmen will make that decision after all the numbers are known and we know what it is we're going to be bonding. But our working assumption now is a 25-year level payment bond, and as I say, it'll be the average $450,000 home. Those are the estimated cost, the range of costs. When we submit to the information to the bonding folks, at that time, they'll need a lot more information from us. They'll need to know the schedule. They'll need to know how fast the cash is being spent to build the building. All of this will get factored into the equation to come up with the total bonding price. Okay.
John, you're really good at clapping for you after that presentation. That's unbelievable. At this time, I ask the panel to come up on the stage so we can begin the question and answer period. And we have to open this up. Hit us with whatever you have, questions and comments. We have some people in the audience that are going to be moving around with the microphone. So I'm going to ask you, if you have a question or a comment, please use the microphone and just state your name when you get out. And I'm going to try to direct the question to the appropriate person on the panel. Thank you. Amongst the 10 of them, they can answer all your questions. So again, it's open, the floor is open. Anyone that has a question or a comment, again, just put your hand up and somebody will come to you, Steve, or Mike, or somebody will come to you with a microphone. Down front here. All right, start us off with an easy one. Good.
How much? What kind of comments, Superintendent Willis, what kind of comments did you receive from the MSBA board when you make your presentation? You said there were a lot of questions for you. And I'm just curious of what kind of feedback you might have gotten already.
When we met with the MSBA board on September 14th, they asked us questions about education program and what was exciting us most about this project and how we were going to accommodate some of the learning spaces to ensure that we were going to do what we wanted to do. We talked a little bit about the design of the building, and we talked about the various options that were looked at and answered questions to explain some of the decision-making process that the SSBC went through in order to arrive at this preferred option, option number 3. I'm going to ask Brad Dorr if there's anything else. He was with me when they asked questions. Were there other questions, Brad, that I'm missing?
I guess just to add to that, one of the things that they require as part of their process is to go and evaluate a number of different alternatives, which we did. We looked at renovation options for both schools, and one of the issues here with this school was that just kind of given the, kind of the status of this facility, some of the issues in terms of the fact that it's very spread out, the requirements that would have to go and take place in terms of bringing it into compliance and to, meeting some of the general academic and educational program requirements. I think in their view, they thought that was going to be a very difficult chore to go and reconfigure this building to make it work. So, in fact, one of the reasons, that we pursued looking at a new high school and a renovated high school was in conjunction with them. So we went through that process. We looked at various different options, and working with them, came up with this as the preferred solution.
Does that answer your question, sir? Okay, thank you. Massive. I'm sorry, right here. Nope, you're next.
Good evening. I have two questions. One question is there any provision for any reason the project is overrunning the time limit and there has to be more funding required out of like 110 million? What will happen if we need another 20 million or 10 million?
Well, again, I direct that to Brad. The question, Brad, is are there provisions to make sure that we don't exceed the $110 million estimate, and what would happen if, in fact, that were to occur? So Brad's working on a number of projects, and I haven't answered that question for you.
I guess there's a couple of built-in safeties, if you will. One of them is that the school building committee has made a decision to pursue what's called a construction management at-risk delivery method, and as part of that process, you would be following a guaranteed maximum price. So you actually would be interviewing